You're thinking about moving to Idaho? Well, don't move here unless you can handle these 9 negatives about Idaho, and we're getting after those right now. Hey everyone, so you're thinking about moving to Idaho, but before you make the move here, you need to know about these 9 things about the state of Idaho that maybe you're not okay with. And if you're not okay with them, then maybe you should look at another state. So I just want to throw them out there so you know exactly what you're getting into when you move to Idaho. And before we get into that, my name is Curtis Chism with the Chism team, and my team and I specialize in helping people relocate here to Idaho. So if that's something that we can help you with, please reach out to us via phone, text, or email. We'll sit down with you via Zoom, figure out what exactly you're looking for when you're making the move here, what kind of lifestyle do you have, what's your budget. There's so many different areas, in Idaho and the Treasure Valley in particular is so much about the type of lifestyle that you're looking to have. So whether that's Eagle, where you're going to be close to the Greenbelt, Meridian, where you're close to the school, so many schools, shopping, you're kind of just a few minutes from kind of everything in the Treasure Valley, or whether you want something that's more in the farmland, more in the country, a little bit slower, like Caldwell, Nampa, Kuna, or Star. We'll help you figure that out and ultimately help you make the move here. Just like I made the move here from California myself, I know the stresses, I know how emotional it is, and I absolutely love helping people relocate here from wherever you might be coming from. But I've made the move and I know what it's like, and I'd love to help you as well. All right, so the first thing you need to know about when you're moving to Idaho is that people love their guns. So if you're not okay with things like this, or if that's scary to you and it looks like a weapon of war, Idaho may not be the place for you. So if that's the case, you just need to be aware of it and maybe look for a different state, because everyone loves their guns here and you're gonna find that people have a lot of them. So you're gonna be talking to people and you're gonna find out that they own guns. You might be out in public, you might see a gun because there is an open carry law here. Anyone can open carry, or you may not see them because it's a concealed carry law as well. So anyone can concealed carry as long as you're not like a felon, you're drunk, things like that. So if you're concerned about that and you don't want to be in a state where there's a lot more people that are concealed or open carrying, then this might not be the place for you. But if you're okay with that and you want that, this is probably going to be the perfect place for you. It's a reason I moved here as well. I didn't have to feel like a criminal owning firearms in California anymore and being demonized. So it's a big reason why I came here. It's probably why you're looking at Idaho as well. So if gun laws and gun ownership is important to you, then that could certainly be a major factor for you. And related to that, of course, is that everyone here is fiercely independent. You know, they value their opinions, they value what they believe in, and they don't want to be messed with. Now they're not gonna mess with you, but just gives everyone their space, and everyone gets along just fine. You know, when all the crazy BLM, Antifa stuff was going on, there was a lot of people that actually picked up their ARs, went to the Capitol, and defended it so that didn't happen here. There's crazy riots that happened, it didn't happen here. So if you're looking for something like that, where people care about their state, care about law and order, this is probably going to be the place for you. All right, number 2 is that the people are very friendly here, but they can be kind of cold. It does take people a little bit of a time to warm up to you. So you just have to be prepared for that. You have to build relationships with people over time. Networking is huge here. So if that's the case and you want to network and get to know people, you know, some of the best ways to do that, go to a coffee shop. There's a great coffee shop in Meridian, Deja Brew. That's where everyone is networking. You can find great networking opportunities in your Facebook group, in your community. A lot of communities have Facebook groups, private Facebook groups, where you can get to know your neighbors. A lot of them have their own community events they put on outside of, like, you know, the HOA. People actually get together and come up with monthly community events like movies in the park or Halloween events, Christmas events, etc. And a lot of referrals happen in there too. So like, hey, who's a good guy to spray for spiders? Who do you know for rain gutters? Who do you know for a gardener? That kind of thing. So a lot of that can happen in there. As you get to know people and build trust, then people warm up and they really open up. But people are generally friendly here. You know, they're never going to be mean to you. You know, I would say change your license plates as soon as you can, especially if you're coming from California, because people on the road are crazy. You know, they might be mean to you. I just hate to say it. I never had anything bad happen to me, fortunately, but it can happen. I've heard of instances. So that being said, though, people can be cold. So just be aware of that. It takes a little time for people to warm up to you. Number 3, it's a conservative state. That's just a fact right now. It's a red state. A lot of people that are moving here are conservative. So if you're not okay with that, maybe it's not the right state for you, but you know, there are pockets here, of course, that are going to be more liberal. So it just depends on what you're looking for exactly. But I just want you to be aware That's what's happening here. So if you're not okay with it, I'm just letting you know. But people they love their churches, they love their guns, like I talked about. So, you just got to be aware that it is a more conservative state. Number 4 is it is lower median income price, and so therefore affordability can be less for the people that live here if you're not working remote. So that's been a big problem for people, and people, light me up in the comment section down here about this. It's not my fault. I moved here myself, but people get upset about the fact that it's harder and harder for people that actually live here to buy a home, because the median price here is about $55,000. Now that is rising, but it hasn't kept up with how much housing prices have risen. Now at the moment when I'm shooting this video, housing prices are coming down. So that's gonna balance out, of course, over time. So everything kind of balances, but unfortunately, it's harder for people to actually live here to own a home. Now, if you are moving from out of state, you're bringing cash with you, of course, it's gonna be more affordable. If you're working remote, you're gonna find a lot of affordability for the homes. I mean, the equivalent home that you could get in California compared to here, you're gonna get like double the house, triple the house for the money. So it's just not as affordable for people that actually live here, and people get really upset about that. It's a big kind of issue for people, of course, understandably so, as people feel like they're getting kind of driven out that have lived here for a long time. Number 5 is more extreme weather than maybe where you're coming from in California. Now, it's actually a reason I moved here is because the weather isn't so extreme like other parts of the country, like Tennessee or Florida or Texas, where you're not having hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that coming through. But it does get really, really hot here in the summer. It is high desert, so you might have temperatures well over 100 degrees. And what's interesting is it gets really hot later in the day, like 5 to 7 o'clock is when it peaks. This past summer, there was about 6 or 7 weeks where it was over 100 degrees, between 100 to 107 degrees for about 6 or 7 weeks straight. So you just have to be prepared for that. It gets pretty hot, it gets a little bit unbearable, but you run your air conditioning a lot, but go to the river. The river really cools down when you get in the water. It's nice cold water that's in there. So we love doing that. Also winter times, it gets cold here. So, I moved from San Diego, it doesn't get that cold. So it's a bit of a shock for sure, but you're gonna have colder weather. So of course, you probably know that, but the snow here is not bad. You get about 16 inches per year. It melts pretty quick. If you're in northern Idaho, way more snow, way different story. It's a lot wetter. It can collapse buildings, how trees will fall down, etc. It also can get kind of windy here as well, so that's something to keep in mind. It's not terrible, but the winds can pick up, and you can get a bit windy here. Now, what we did was we actually visited in December, and because it was one of the coldest months, December, January, February are gonna be your coldest months, of course, out of the year. So we originally visited here in December to see if we liked it, because we're like, look, if we like it in December, then we'll probably like it when it's nicer, like in the spring, summer, and fall, and we loved it. So I would encourage you to come visit in the winter time and see if you like it, because if you like it, you're gonna absolutely love it when it's a better time of year. Number 6 is going to be wildfires. So there aren't a lot of natural disasters here, but wildfires really are the big natural disaster. You're not gonna have tornadoes, you're not gonna have earthquakes, that kind of thing, but you are gonna have wildfires, and it's gonna be more around Treasure Valley, not in the valley itself. But because of that, you're gonna get a lot of smoke, and that settles down in the valley, and it creates kind of a health hazard for folks, especially if you're already allergic or have some other health conditions. So that's really annoying when you're out. It's hard to breathe, so you have to spend more time indoors. School can get canceled sometimes, sporting events can get canceled when the wildfires pick up. So that's a huge bummer. Sometimes people, they tell me like, oh, if I knew, I probably wouldn't have moved here. But for the most part, people just deal with it. It's just kind of part of it. San Diego, California, we have wildfires all the time, so it's not that different, but it does happen here. Number 7 is traffic and lack of infrastructure. So I-84 is the main freeway running through here, and during rush hour, it can get heavy traffic. And then you've got the country roads. These were 2-lane farm roads that were not built for the huge influx of people that have been moving in here. And so you can experience a lot of backed up traffic because you run up on a stop sign or a roundabout and it takes a long time to get through it. So just be prepared for that. But for the most part, especially if you're a work remote employee or own your own business and you can kind of dictate your own schedule, you're really not gonna hit that much traffic. So it's not a huge deal for me. I kind of can work around it, but just keep that in mind. They are trying to put in more infrastructure to handle the influx of people, but that's been an issue. Next one up is there are a lot of flies, there can be a lot of mosquitoes, and there's a lot of spiders. So that's something that was kind of shocking to me, how many flies there are here during the summer months and early fall. But man, there was one day, I think I killed 25 flies in my house, and just they get in and they're hard to get rid of. So you can put up fly traps, they kind of help, but you're pretty much going to be hunting flies all the time. So that's a huge bummer. There can be mosquitoes. You can spray for mosquitoes. I'm not a huge fan of chemicals, but there is a thermocell you can get that kind of, if you're sitting outside, get this thermocell and it puts up like a 15-foot radius where the mosquitoes won't really come in. So that's pretty cool. And then there's also a lot of spiders out here. There are black widow spiders. There's also garden spiders. The garden spiders aren't dangerous, but they kind of make messes with their webs. They put webs around the house. So you can spray for spiders. I use a guy, he comes every couple months, sprays, and it takes care of them. So that's an easy way to take care of them. But if you're not prepared for it, it can be surprising. And the last one up is the education system here is not great. So I think we're ranked like 30th in the nation for public schools, according to US News and World Report. So if you're coming here for the education, it's not the greatest. However, there are a lot of good private charter school, like public charter schools, private charter schools, and homeschool hybrid groups as well, and homeschool networking programs. So we're kind of connected more in that scene. So if that's something you're looking for, we can help with that. I'd love to help you with that. But as far as the public education system, it's not great. But let's be real, the public education system isn't great anyway. So what are we saying here? I would, if you're moving here, I'd probably look into the charter schools, the private schools, the homeschool schools. Well, that's an overview of the top 9 things of what you need to know about moving here to Idaho. If you can't handle those, Idaho may not be the right state for you. But if you are looking to move here, I would absolutely love to sit down and talk with you or one of my team members, and we can figure out what the best place is for you to move here to Idaho. So all you gotta do is reach out via phone, text, or email. I'd love to have that conversation with you. And if you are looking to make the move here to Idaho, you just gotta watch this video right here. It's gonna tell you everything you need to know about living here in Idaho, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.